Hey everybody, welcome to Hills and Gills. Chuck here with you today, and we are going to be tying up a squacker jig. This is a squirrel tail jig that we're going to be tying up, and I've got plans to tie 3 or 4 of my favorite squirrel tail patterns in like panfish type jigs. I also tie them for trout and as well as smallmouth. But today we're looking at like those big old bluegills, those big shell crackers, red eyes, or rock bass, or even the crappie. And this is what we're going to be tying up right here today. This is a hackle / squirrel tail combo. You don't need a trailer with this. You got that little hackle coming out, and it just looks awesome in the water. And bluegill loves chartreuse. So let's get ready to tie up those squacker tail. Okay, let's get our little jig tied up here. We're going to start out with some black thread. This is a by Do It, if you're interested in what kind of thread to use. And I'm going to roll this all the way back to right at the bend of that hook right there, then back up to about where the tip is. Now, the first thing I'm going to be using is a chartreuse hackle feather. Bluegill absolutely loves chartreuse. Now I'm going to go down about 3/4 inch on it to about 1 inch, and I'm just going to go in and V it out and just cut it. That's what we're looking for right here. That little fella right there. We're going to flatten him out a little bit. And I like laying it right on side the shank and then kind of just rolling it up on it, because hackle tries to roll up on you a lot. And when you kind of lay it on the side, it kind of brings it over for you. And it's not that hard to deal with. Now we're just going to bring this all the way back the thread to right where the bend of that hook starts, locking that in with real nice tight turns. And pulling back, I like pulling back on the hackle when I'm doing that, and that just levels it out right on top of that shank. There we go. We got that part done. Now the next thing we're going to be adding is the squirrel tail now. So we'll bring our thread back up, and it takes very little on like a bluegill or panfish type jig. I absolutely love squirrel tail. And when I'm tying with jigs, especially smaller jigs for like panfish, and I'm just going to get a small pinch of it off right here. Kind of measure him about where we need him there. And I don't want it to go past the tail. I want the tail to stick out about halfway back. It's going to give it a little action. Plus that chartreuse will be seen good by the bluegill. So we'll go ahead and pinch this up here and cut it. And about right there is what we're looking for. We'll clean him up a little. That looks pretty good right there. So we're just going to go ahead, lay this right on top of the shank of that hook. And just like with bucktail, give it a couple of loose turns and then start pushing down and forward a little bit. That way you're not going to bring that hair out of that loose collar. Plus you'll get over the shank of that hook. And then we're going to just lock him in. Some nice tight wraps. There we go. You may have a few loose hairs, but that ain't going to make or break the bank. And then we're just going to tie all this in right here. That looks pretty good. That right there would catch bluegill or crappie. Now, the next thing that we're going to be adding is some flash. Now, I'm not going to be using chartreuse flash. I don't want it chartreused out. So, I'm going to be using kindly just some pearl type flashing. Don't need a whole lot on a small jig like this. I'm just going to be using 3. I got this off Amazon. I got like 32 packs of this crystal flash. Very cheap. I think I gave like $15, $16 for it when I did pick it up. I don't know. The prices may have changed now. But Amazon is a great place. Temu too, to find cheap flash. We got our 3 pieces here. Made sure that it's all squared away. And then we're going to lay it right on the side, and I want it to go back right where those white tip hairs ends on the jig. We're going to give him a couple of tight wraps. Move that flashing out of my way a little bit. It's wanting to twist with me. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and cut this. Now, you can wrap this around the shank and do it, but I prefer doing this. Do it however your heart desires and how you prefer on putting your crystal flashing on. Any way of work. But I like doing it like this. Give him a couple of tight wraps there, locking that in. And then we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to clip this off right here real close to that collar. Turn him back around. And then we're just going to pinch him up and just build that collar up some. There we go. I like taking it out, taking a look at it right there. That looks pretty good. Nice looking little panfish type jig we got going on here. And I'm going to bring that collar back just a little bit on that jig right there. Just down about just a quarter of a way down. Then I'm going to work my way back up to right behind the jig. And now we're going to add some more of this hackle feather here. So we don't need a whole lot of it, just a little bit. I'm going to go up to where the stem is kind of soft. And then I'm just going to pull away, marking and exposing that stem where we can cut it. Just about like it right there. Take it up a little bit more. Get a little bit more of that off there. And then we'll go ahead and get this cut away. Leaving about that much stem right there to lock into that collar and tie it in real tight. We're going to lay it right on the side of the collar. Give him a couple nice tight wraps. If it turns on you a little bit, that's no problem. And then finish locking all that in on that collar, the rest of that stem. Then I'm going to go right behind that hackle. And where I've got carpal tunnel, yeah, I use my little tool here. I'm just going to lock it in. And then I'm just going to spin this. And I'm just going to do about 3 to 4 spins. Just judging how much I'm putting on it, how long they are and stuff. That looks pretty good right there. And then I'm just going to take my thread and lock all that hackle in. And then come right back up to behind the jig head. And we're going to remove the tail end of it off right here. And get rid of that part. Now the last thing that we're going to do on this jig is we're going to take these feathers and very carefully we're going to lay them back, and sometimes they can be a pain in the butt, but we can get it done. There we go. And then we're just, if we have any loose stray ones, we'll cut them off. We'll just tie them down a little bit. Pull some of them stray ones back. Or rip them off. And then we're just going to start tying this in, laying them back. The further you go back, the closer they're going to be on that body. Just like so. Kind of take a gander at him, see what we got there. That's about where I want it right there. So that looks pretty good. And that's time just to lock all this in and build that collar up. Real nice tight wraps, locking all this in because bluegill, they hit hard, they're aggressive. And you want this locked in nice and tight. Now the last thing we're going to do is give it a whip finish. And on my panfish jigs, I usually do 5 turns. And I have been known to go right over the eye before that happens. When I lock it in with that UV resin, that don't matter. It's going to be there to stay. So we get our UV resin. And we will run all around that collar. Just give it a nice shiny look. Plus it's going to lock all of that thread in. It'll be there till you either wear it out or you lose the jig. And then we're going to hit it with a UV light. Well, there you go. This is a killer little 1 16th ounce crappie, bluegill, panfish type jig right here with that squirrel tail. You got that hackle feather on it with that hackle tail. You don't have to add no trailer to this. And when you jig this through the water, that hackle just comes alive on it with that squirrel tail and stuff. And it just looks awesome in the water. Super simple to tie. Very easy. And it gets the job done for you. If you like this video, I hope you give us a thumbs up. That really helps our channel out. We got a lot of great jig tying coming down the road. Also, hit that notification bell. That way you'll be notified when we upload right here on the channel. And I encourage everybody to come over to Hills and Gills Outdoors on our Facebook. It is a group where you can come in. Great people there. You can share your photos, your stories, your hunts, your trapping, whatever. Just come right on over and join us. We would love to have you. It's growing every day, just like our YouTube channel. Until next time, stay safe out there in the water. Get out there and do you some squirrel hunting. Get you some squirrel tail. Make you some jigs. And we'll see you right back here in the next one. Have yourself a great day, guys.